Welcome to Whispers of Time. Look around for a moment. Every day, millions of people wake up early, rush through traffic, sit in offices, work long hours, and come back home exhausted. They repeat the same routine again and again, all for one reason: money. But here is something uncomfortable that most people never stop to question: if everyone is working so hard for money, why do so many still feel stuck? The problem is not effort. The problem is misunderstanding. Most people believe that working harder automatically means earning more, and earning more means becoming free. But reality tells a different story. There are people who spend 10 to 12 hours a day working and still struggle to pay bills, while others seem calm, in control, and financially stable without exhausting themselves the same way. So what creates this difference? It begins with a simple but powerful truth: money is not just income. It is not just salary. And it is definitely not just numbers in a bank account. Money is a system that follows rules, patterns, and behavior. And most people are playing this system blindly. Think about a typical life pattern. Work, earn, spend, repeat. Month after month, year after year. There is no pause to understand what is really happening. No strategy. No long-term thinking. Just survival. This cycle quietly traps people, not because they are lazy, but because they were never taught how money actually works. The first mistake most people make is focusing only on earning. They ask, "How can I make more money?" instead of asking a much more important question: how can I become more valuable? Because money does not come first, value does. When you solve problems, you get paid. When you help people, you get paid. When you create something useful, you get paid. This means income is a result, not a starting point. But when people ignore this, they chase money directly and feel frustrated when it doesn't stay. Now imagine two individuals. The first person earns money and spends almost all of it. Every month feels like starting from zero again. The second person earns the same amount but makes a different decision. They save a portion, learn new skills, and slowly turn their money into something that can grow, something that can bring more money in the future. At the beginning, both lives look similar. But after a few years, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. One is still running. The other is slowly gaining control. This is where the idea of assets begins to change everything. Instead of using money only for expenses, some people start using it to build systems that generate income. These systems do not depend completely on daily effort. And once that happens, the pressure begins to reduce. But most people never reach this point because of how they think about money. For many, money is emotional. Stress leads to spending. Boredom leads to spending. Even happiness becomes a reason to spend. Small decisions, repeated daily, quietly destroy financial stability. And the worst part is, it often feels normal. Another hidden problem is the desire to impress others. People buy things not because they need them, but because they want to look successful. Expensive habits grow faster than income, and slowly, financial pressure builds up. From the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, there is stress, fear, and constant worry. This is how people get stuck without realizing it. Money itself is not the enemy. It is neutral. It simply follows behavior. If someone is careless, money disappears. If someone is disciplined, money grows. The real issue is not the amount of money, it is the mindset behind it. And here is where everything begins to change. When a person starts to understand that money is not something to chase blindly, but something to control, a shift happens. Instead of reacting emotionally, they begin to act intentionally. Instead of spending without thinking, they start asking questions. Instead of repeating the same cycle, they begin to build something different. It does not happen instantly. It is not easy. But it is possible. And the moment someone truly understands this, they stop being a player who is confused and start becoming a player who understands the game. There comes a moment when a person realizes something is not working. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack ambition, but because no matter how hard they try, the results stay the same. The effort increases, but the progress does not. At this point, many people feel frustrated. Some blame the system. Some blame luck. Some blame themselves. But very few stop and ask the right question: am I playing the game correctly? Because money, like any system, follows rules. The first rule is simple but often ignored: money flows to value. Not to need, not to effort alone, but to value. A person can work extremely hard, but if their work does not create significant value, their income will always be limited. This is why two people can work the same number of hours but earn completely different amounts. This truth is uncomfortable because it forces responsibility. It means income is not just about time, it is about impact. And this leads to the second rule: effort without leverage has limits. Many people depend only on their time. They trade hours for money. But time is fixed. There are only 24 hours in a day. No matter how motivated someone is, they cannot escape this limit. This is why people who rely only on active work often feel stuck. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of only working more hours, a person starts building something that works beyond their time. A skill that reaches more people. A system that continues even when they rest. A small investment that slowly grows. This is called leverage. At first, it feels slow. Almost invisible. While others are earning and spending quickly, this person is saving, learning, building. It may even feel like they are falling behind. But time introduces a powerful force: compounding. Small actions repeated consistently begin to grow. Not in a straight line, but in a curve. At the beginning, progress looks insignificant. But over time, it accelerates. And suddenly, what once felt small becomes powerful. This is where many people make a critical mistake: they quit too early. They expect fast results in a system that rewards patience. They invest for a short time, don't see big changes, and stop. They try to learn a skill, don't see immediate rewards, and give up. They start building discipline, but emotions pull them back. And slowly, they return to the same cycle of work, earn, spend, repeat. Another silent problem is control. If a person does not control their money, money starts controlling them. Decisions become emotional. Fear of losing money creates hesitation. Stress forces short-term thinking. And instead of using money as a tool, they become dependent on it. This creates a constant mental pressure. Bills, responsibilities, unexpected expenses, everything feels heavy because there is no structure. No direction. Just reaction. But people who begin to understand the system start doing something different. They give their money instructions. They decide where it goes. They separate needs from wants. They create a plan. And something interesting happens. Clarity replaces confusion. They may not be rich immediately, but they are no longer lost. Every decision starts to have purpose. Every step starts to connect to a bigger picture. This is also where patience becomes a powerful advantage. Most people think short-term. They want quick success, quick results, quick money. But the money system rewards those who think in years, not days. A person who stays consistent, who keeps learning, who avoids shortcuts, slowly builds momentum. And momentum is powerful because once it starts, it becomes easier to continue. But there is another challenge that quietly destroys progress: fear. Fear of losing money. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of trying something new. Because of this, many people stay in safe but limited situations. They protect what little they have but never allow it to grow. And over time, this safety becomes a trap. Growth always involves some level of risk. But smart individuals do not take blind risks. They learn first. They understand. Then they act carefully. This balance between caution and courage is what separates movement from stagnation. At this stage, a person begins to see clearly. The problem was never just income. The problem was a lack of understanding, lack of structure, and lack of patience. And once these begin to change, even small progress starts to feel different. Because now, the person is no longer guessing. They are playing with awareness. At some point, the struggle becomes personal. It is no longer just about money. It becomes a question of control, discipline, and identity. A person begins to notice a pattern, not outside, but inside. The real battle was never only about earning more. It was about how decisions were made every single day. Because the truth is simple, but not easy to accept, most financial problems are not created by a lack of money, but by repeated behavior. Small decisions. Quiet habits. Invisible patterns. A person says, "It's just a small expense." Then again, "I deserve this." Then again, "I'll fix it next month." These moments feel harmless, but over time, they build pressure. Not suddenly, but slowly, like water filling a space drop by drop. And one day, it feels overwhelming. This is where many people feel stuck the deepest. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they cannot control what they feel. Emotions start leading decisions. Stress leads to spending. Comparison leads to spending. Even boredom leads to spending. And without realizing it, money starts disappearing faster than it is created. Breaking this cycle requires something powerful: the ability to pause. To stop in the moment and ask a different question. Not "what do I want right now," but "what will help me later?" This is where everything begins to shift. Because now, the person is no longer reacting automatically. Now they are thinking. Choosing. Taking control. At first, this feels uncomfortable. Saying no to small pleasures feels like losing something. Watching others spend freely creates pressure. Progress feels slow, almost invisible. There is no excitement, no immediate reward. But something deeper starts building: stability. The person begins to see their money differently. Not as something to use instantly, but as something that can grow. Every decision starts carrying weight. Every choice begins to shape the future. And this is where discipline becomes strength. Not loud, not visible, but powerful. Instead of spending everything, they start saving with purpose. Not just to hold money, but to protect themselves. Because life is unpredictable. Problems can appear without warning. And without preparation, one situation can destroy months or even years of effort. Saving creates space. Breathing space. Time to think, time to act, time to recover. But they do not stop there. They begin to understand that saving alone is not enough. Because money that does not grow slowly loses its power. So they take the next step: investing. Carefully. Slowly. Without rushing. At first, the results are small. Almost unnoticeable. And this is where most people fail: they expect something dramatic. But real growth does not look dramatic in the beginning. It looks quiet. Consistent actions. Repeated over time. And then, something changes. The small becomes meaningful. The slow becomes steady. The effort begins to return results. Not instantly, but reliably. This is the moment where confidence starts to grow. Because now, the person sees proof. Not from others, but from their own life. Their money is no longer just coming and going. It is staying, growing, working. And with this, a new mindset forms. Instead of asking, how can I spend this, they begin asking, how can this grow? This single shift changes everything. They stop trying to look rich and start trying to become stable. They stop comparing and start building. They stop chasing fast results and start respecting time. And slowly, something powerful happens. Their income is no longer their only support. What they have built starts supporting them. Small systems, small investments, small decisions, all working together. It is not overnight success. It is not luck. It is structure. And for the first time, there is a sense of control. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything has direction. At the end, the realization becomes clear. Money was never just about earning. It was about understanding. About patience. About behavior. About the ability to choose long-term growth over short-term comfort. And once a person truly understands this, something changes forever. They stop feeling lost. They stop feeling controlled. And step by step, they begin to build a life where money is no longer the problem, but a tool they have finally learned to use.